Hello everyone. Today on the hashtag She Inspires series, I have a very special guest today who inspires people to fall in love with themselves. She is a social media enthusiast, a plus size fashion blogger, and hold on, not only this, she even heads strategic marketing for a very well known institute in Ahmedabad. Dr. Falguni, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Ishita. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Ma'am, can you please introduce yourself and please tell everyone about the kind of work you do and how do you manage all these things together?
Okay, so first, let me briefly introduce myself to the lovely audience. So, my name is Dr. Falguni, and I am Professor of Marketing and Advertising at MICA Ahmedabad. As Ishita just now said, I head the strategic marketing area at MICA. I have been teaching now since last 21 years. This is my 22nd year in full-time teaching without a break. And alongside, I also am a TEDx speaker. I have given 4 TEDx talks as of now. And I run my own social media channels on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I have a fashion page called Falguni's Fashion Fundas on Facebook. And recently, I also ventured into the pranky world of TikTok. So I am all across. So I'm a social media enthusiast as well. And most importantly, I think I'm using all this social media presence to take my journey of body positivity ahead. And so I'm a body positive beauty blogger, fashion blogger, and I proudly call myself a plus size fashionista as well. I'm happily married. I'm not married, but I'm happily married. And I live in Ahmedabad with my family, which consists of my husband and my father in law.
Great, ma'am. Ma'am, can you, since you mentioned body positivity, and I've been spamming everyone on my contact list that we're going to have a talk on body positivity soon, can you please tell us something more about body positivity?
Yeah. So it all started in the era of the feminist movement, where feminism and the meaning around equality and equality of genders was being understood. It was then that people started talking about acceptance of different types of bodies, and that led to the movement of body positivity. Now, let me tell you, Ishita, at this very moment that the myth around body positivity is that it's only about fat people accepting themselves.
Yes.
No, it's about any kind of body which does not fit into the idea of perfect beauty created by society and media, by the conditioning that we have in our minds, right? So it is about people who are ultra thin, it is about people who are fat, it is about people with dark skin, very fair skin, with freckles, with less hair, with let us say scars on their faces, with pimples on their faces. So anybody should be accepting themselves the way they are, and that's the whole idea of body positivity. Because the notion of perfect beauty or size zero beauty or the flawless skin that we keep seeing in advertising, in films, in magazines, in comic books, in cartoon characters, in television shows, does not exist in reality. It's a very idealistic
Right.
view of physical beauty, and that's not even achievable to think of, right? So, body positivity is a movement which tells all of us, and a philosophy which tells all of us that we need to accept ourselves the way we are.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and continue our discussion on body positivity. But ma'am, I would also like to tell my audience that Dr. Falguni also works a lot on gender equality. So some idea about it, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think this is, see, body positivity is something which I have personally gone through, and as a revelation of what happens when you are a body conscious person to when you become a body positive person, and what remarkable differences you see in your personality and the way in which you present yourself to the whole world out there. I
Right.
think that was my personal journey which took me towards this advocacy that I do on body positivity. But as a woman, I think I speak for all women when I speak on gender equality, because I think we have a way to go, we have miles to go before we achieve equality in the current social status that men and women everywhere around the globe enjoy. So gender equality is something which is very, very close to my heart. And I believe that equality is a basic right if you want to call anybody a human being. Okay.
Yes.
So anybody who is a human being needs equal rights. Now, whether these rights are at home, or whether they are at office, or whether they are in the business world, or whether they are in the academic world, whichever world we are talking in, we have to be taken as human beings. We cannot be taken as, let us say, the weaker sex or the fairer sex, you know, or girls versus boy debates that we all keep having. Like, as I say that girls can be like hockey champions and boys can easily cry. They should cry because we are human beings and every human will have an emotion. So I think starting from very small things that we see at home of how girls and boys and their upbringing is very different, what kind of life skills are being taught to both the genders. Say, for example, in India especially, majority girls are taught cooking at an early age because they have to be prepared to become an ideal wife or a daughter-in-law.
गोल रोटी नहीं बनाई तो शादी नहीं होगी. गोल रोटी नहीं बनाई तो you won't get married.
Exactly. But the same thing should be taught to the son as well, because remember, it is a life skill, right? So I think gender equality is something which is very, very, I should say, a dream in my hearts. And till we achieve it, I think we have to keep fighting. We have to keep the good fight up, you know. So it's something which I'm very, very strongly motivated to do it myself, maybe for the larger good for all women and the future generation of girls.
So because you advocate body positivity, was it ever that while growing up, there was an instance where, or there was a phase where you were body shamed? And also I would want to know from you that how do you look at it in today's teenagers, because they are very conscious about the way they look. They want those six-pack abs. The girls want flawless skin.
Yeah.
So what is your viewpoint on all of this?
So Ishita, I would suggest that ask any fat girl around you randomly this question, and I bet the answer would be yes. The first question that you asked me. And it's not only me. You're talking about me being body shamed in my younger days, or being commented upon on my body in the younger days. Ask any fat girl around you or a fat woman around you. I will change my name if they say that they've never been body shamed. Okay.
Sure, there are a lot of differences.
Yes, I also grew up in the same country, in the same social class, in the same conditioned world, and hence, of course, there were random people who would come and comment on your body or ask you to eat less without even knowing how much you eat, or ask you to exercise without knowing your routine, or assume that you must be very lazy, you must be eating a lot, you must be always a couch potato, you may not be able to dance well because you are fat, you may not be able to play garba, so I'm a Gujarati, right? So they would assume all these things, right? And there was a time when I would not say body shaming, but they would make you feel very conscious about your body structure.
Don't
and
wear
your
tight clothes,
body.
cover yourself,
Exactly.
cover your chest.
Of course. So like early on, I would tell you, all my teenage years, I've never worn any Western clothing. I've never experimented with clothes. My hair were always like tied like this in a ponytail, right? So because I was conscious of my body, I was not shy, but definitely I was a very conscious person. So say, for example, in public, I would never get up to dance because I was conscious, or I would never wear pants or frocks and go out because I was conscious. I was always wear this salwar kameez and this dupatta on my chest, you know, covering my body as if I'm hiding something which is criminal. So you're always somewhere, you know, what should I say? You're always somewhere stuck as far as your expression towards life is concerned. So, and please remember that I was an academically very strong person. Yes. So I had 2 gold medals in my kitty. I was always a rank holder. I was a national level Garba player. But all this did not matter to people who wanted to only look through me as a fat girl, right? Look through the structure, because their only concern was how will marriage happen? How will she progress in life, right? And now when I say this, these were not my core family members. These were all these random people whom I call random relatives, who come into your life as if they are the venture capitalists of your life, and they have done nothing actually for you, and they would randomly keep commenting on your body, which makes you very low on confidence. So of course, like any other normal girl growing in India, I have also gone through a lot of comments on my body and how I look, and how I would look much better and more beautiful if I would shed away 20-30 kgs. Always, right? And your second part of the question was about today's young generation.
Yes.
So, yes, see, we continue to be a nation obsessed by what we see on screens, okay? And when I say screens, Bollywood, you know, it's a part of our popular culture. So Bollywood and cricket rules India, no? So like India comes to a standstill when there's an India-Pakistan final match. Similarly, anything in Bollywood is always aspiring and it's always dreamy. So what you see in films, what you see in ads, what you see in films, all that together create a very halo effect around you, which gives you a very wrong idea of what beauty is or what perfection in beauty and body is. And hence, today's teenagers are also living in this myth that, you know, it is attainable, it is aspiring, it is like being healthy is equals to being size 0, which is so wrong.
Yeah.
Fitness and health has nothing to do with your body structure. So here we are assuming when we say that fat people will get all the problems because of obesity, we are assuming that thin people will never fall sick.
Yeah, there
or
are
they will never
people,
get.
they also get heart attacks.
Exactly, but that's not how the way in which the world talks, right? So today's teenagers, like when I was a teenager, I think are impacted by what they see around them. But I think positively, comparing like the 1980s when I was a teenager, I think things are positively changing. So there are models who are speaking up. There are brands like Dow who are saying that we don't want to do Photoshop anymore. There are in fact there are leading models who have gone on the TED platform as well and given TED talks that this is not in reality how I look, right? In reality, I look very, very different. So I think these dialogues have started. In fact, on Instagram, you must have observed there is a huge growth of body positive fashion bloggers who talk about body, skin, wrinkles, under eye dark circles, you know, aging effect, the whitening of your hair, and they do not shy away from it. So I think dire dire these dialogues are becoming more in number. So what we see right now as a minority, I'm sure it is going to be a majority in the coming years. I only have hope for this generation. Totally.
So, ma'am, tell us some work you've done on body positivity.
So see, my work would be mainly all that content that I post on my social media channels. Primarily, I write a lot of blogs on Falguni's Fashion Fundas, where people can find articles on what is body positivity, how does the body consciousness come in your mind, because you're neither born as a confident person or as an underconfident person, no.
Yes.
As a baby you are very confident, so till the age of 5 and 6 you wear anything, everything, and you always end up asking people how you look. You love getting photographed. So what happens after a certain age? Suddenly you crop your photos. Suddenly you feel this angle is better than this angle. Yes. Oh, don't put this photo. I'm looking fat. My stomach is showing. So I write on all these topics a lot. And because of what I write, I was invited for my first TEDx talk, which was on body positivity. Wow. Right? So that is also available on YouTube for the audience to check it out. So, and hence, because of all this that I post on my blog, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I get called into many panel discussions, many interviews, many talks that I give, and I never ever say no for a talk on body positivity. And I can proudly say today, Ishita, that 100% of the talks that I have given on this topic are pro bono. I don't charge because I do feel that this is my moral responsibility to take it forward to those young girls that you were just talking about. And I don't want them to waste their precious most years of their lives, hiding their body around clothes and not expressing themselves towards who they are. So I think this is in a nutshell. But of course, my academic work is marketing and advertising. So,
Well,
so with my students, what I do is, I think I walk through as an example. So when I wear whatever I want, I dress up in whatever way I want, the blue lipsticks that I am famous for in college as well. I think seeing me, they also get to see that confident person walking in a fat body, right? And I'm trying to somewhere take away this ugliness that we have in our mind towards the word fat, because
yes.
it's a body description. It is not something which is negative, right? So I think these are multiple ways in which I do my work on body
Ma'am,
positivity. I also do counseling.
I
Sorry?
can vouch for the fact that you don't say no to any interview. I am an example.
Yeah. So, and I also like how you inbox me for this interview. I get a lot of DMs and messages on Instagram and my blog, two places where there are people who are looking up to me for counseling as to, how can they take the next step? How can they wear a trouser when they've never worn in their whole life? How can they wear this sleeveless top? Because, something sleeveless they've never worn, because they've always been told that, oh, you're very bulky biceps, please hide them with a 3/4 sleeve. So this one-on-one, if I count, it will be endless. I don't think I've ever documented that, but I think in my own way, this is my genuine effort towards making people love their bodies rather than hating it, because we all have just one life.
Yes, well said, ma'am. Ma'am, so this brings me to my next question. So was it always easy for you to talk to people about these issues, about body positivity in a world that is dominated by these notions of a perfect body?
Yeah, so
How
for me,
has
it
this
was
journey
very
been?
easy. No, so for me, talking to people was very easy because I think I had taken that journey. So I had self experienced that journey, and I was speaking for my own self, right? I was not speaking for the whole zamana.
Exactly.
So I think when you have taken the journey and then you tell something, there is people see it as rich content and not hawa mein bol rahi hai types.
Right,
So
right.
I think it's very easy, but the journey, of course, is not easy for anybody, in the sense that there's a lot of introspection that you will have to do, lot of unlearning that you will have to do of all the beauty codes that you have learned in your early years, of how a skin should be, how your hair should be, how your structure should be, what makes an ideal life partner. So generally, like if you read something which comes up on Google on body positivity, the biggest issue that young girls face is they don't find themselves sexually attractive because they are not the perfect beauty types. And hence, it impacts a lot on the kind of relationships that they enter. They stay put in abusive relationships because they are considering themselves as inferior. So I think talking about all these issues was very, very easy for me. Also, don't forget I'm a teacher. So
Yes,
I think that authenticity, that credibility that a teacher gets is, I think that was my obvious advantage, that I had that credibility in me. And I think social media gave me a larger platform than a classroom. So in Mica, for example, even if I was talking about this indirectly to my students, I don't teach body positivity, but indirectly. So I was, let us say, inspiring 10 people around me. But when I'm on social media, there are lakhs of people with whom you get connected, and my growth was also organic. So this was a highly engaging audience. I know everybody who follows me, right? I talk to every other person. So I think all these lives that I do on Instagram, or the chat shows that I do on my page and all, I think they easily connect because I think I get down to their level and talk. So I'm not somebody who is sitting in an ivory tower, because I'm self-made, right? I'm also self-made. My journey has been taken by my own self. Even I face the same issues of people judging me for my marriage, not for my gold medals, like any other girl today would be facing in their 20s. So I think I connect with them because there's a lot of, what should I say, the Me Too feel that I think they would experience in whatever I talk. So Yeah.
So, ma'am, I'm sure in this entire journey, you've touched so many lives, as you've been saying that you've been have done personal counselings for people messaging you up and asking you how should they get into a trouser. I'm sure this journey has been phenomenal, and at this point in time, you've obviously made people fall in love with themselves. So, how is this entire feeling?
Oh, it's seriously, it's amazing. I'm telling you, because it is so gratifying. See, it's really gratifying when a girl comes to my inbox and says that because that day you told me to ask these questions to the boy that I was meeting, I rejected because he was looking at my outer beauty and not my inner beauty.
Wow.
And this feeling that you have empowered, and it is giving me goosebumps when I'm saying this, that you have empowered someone to take a right decision and not get into wrong relationships, right? So to anybody else it would sound very small, but because I think I know the plight of women in India, and I know what it means to be somebody's idea of perfection. I think the feeling is, what should I say, there are things which money can buy and there are things which you cannot buy. They are priceless. The MasterCard ad I'm talking about. So I think the feeling is priceless. It's very, very gratifying. And I must say, most of them write back to me when something I've told has impacted them. So there's a lot of love also that I am receiving in return. It's not something that I am the giver. I'm also the receiver here. So if I am the giver of right words, maybe listening at the right time, maybe giving a shoulder at the right time, maybe they don't know who to go to, and hence I am there appearing in their lives. But I think in return, the amount of respect and love that I have received is phenomenal. So Falguni, who was 20 years old, sitting in Rajkot doing her bachelor's in business administration, would have never thought that first so many people would know me in the world. Okay. So it's phenomenal. And Ishita, believe you me, because I travel a lot for my work and conferences and meetings and teaching in different institutes. Wherever I go, I have people just waiting to meet me. And it's such a, I should say, like, it's a big pressure on me that you have to then now perform more. If people are dependent on you and your thoughts, then you have to be very responsible in giving back them the value that you have always wanted to. So it's a joy. Completely, it's a
So,
joy.
ma'am, this is Falguni, ma'am, as a blogger, as a social media enthusiast. But now let's come back to your role as a professor, right? So, ma'am, how in your current role you're inspiring people. I'm sure in your classroom you're scrutinizing ads in and out. So, any instances you would want to share with us?
Yeah, so see, I teach advertising classes. So I talk a lot about representation of beauty, racism, gender in advertising, portrayals of men and women in advertising. So we do a lot of such case analysis in classes, and I make it a point to take scholarly work of people. So for example, in one of my TEDx, I talk about a project called headlesswomenofhollywood.com, right? It's a
That is in your
project by
TED
a
talk as
PhD.
well. I listened to it. That is a part of your TED talk.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. So this is a PhD scholar's work where she's analyzing Hollywood posters where women's faces are not shown. So say, let us say, two legs are shown, breasts are shown, the legs ka cut is shown. So it almost is a very, very vulgar representation of women on those posters. Or for example, there's a lady who did this scholarly work of analyzing portrayal of women in advertising for 40 years. So for 40 years, the advertising data she collected, and she has scrutinized how women are represented as objects, and which leads to us thinking of them as objects, which leads to a lot of sexual violence, physical violence, right? So I bring all of these in limited capacities because there are too many topics to be discussed. But most importantly, as a teacher, if you are saying, just by being myself in all the avatars, I think somewhere I am inspiring my students to be themselves. By being a woman of substance, I think you set an example. By being a strong-headed woman, I think somewhere you are inspiring people by talking about your career journey and not taking it very easily. I think you are inspiring them for their future, that being a girl does not mean you give away your career like this, right? You make right choices. You have to struggle a lot. It's hard work and it never comes easy, right? So I think by just having these dialogues, I think they would be getting positively
I'm sure.
influenced.
I'm sure. I wish I could go back to my college days and be a part of your classroom. This is the feeling I have
So
right now.
sweet.
So, ma'am, wrapping it up, I want your final message for everyone.
So I think, see, we have only one life, and we don't know how long or short the life is going to be. And we should not be wasting our life by living it as per somebody else's idea of you living it. So I think it's time we need to unlearn and relearn a few things and rise above the judgmental biases, stereotypes, the genetic, the gender codes that we have established in our mind. And to all the maybe parents or future parents who would be listening this, they have a bigger responsibility to play because they have to create gender equal children. So whether son or daughter, please raise them to be gender equal. And I think these power distances needs to go. So every woman needs to understand that there is nothing called being settled when you marry. So
Yes.
marriage is not for settlement. You are settled when you're financially independent. So please do not, what should I say, give lesser importance to your jobs, your career, your salary, your money, because being financially empowered in itself is a big boost to your identity. So, and to all the younger generation who is listening to us, the youngsters, do not fall into very, very fake things like size zero, abs, six pack abs, muscular body. All that is important, but that can be your passion. Your real work is your identity. How much are you investing in your personality? What are you doing to make yourself a significant other in a relationship? Right? So I think as world moves towards equality, I think I want also more women to understand that they cannot be the passive person in a relationship. Even they will have to financially contribute to running a house.
Exactly.
Because equality is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
you no longer can expect your husband only to come and give you a surprise on your anniversary. Sometimes even you will have to do it. So I think equality takes away a lot of sacrifices as well. So I think there's nothing more than loving yourself, because the day you fall in love with yourself, you will invest in your identity. And the moment you start investing in your identity, next time when you will walk into a room, your confidence will walk before you.
Exactly.
So people will not see whether you are freckled skin or whether you're thin or whether you are fat. They will just see you as a confident person with a glow walking inside the room.
So, ma'am,
Yeah.
as you said, loving your body is the greatest revolution you can be into, right? So loving yourself the way you are, it's the greatest revolution anyone can be into. And what I learned from you is that don't value your body over your being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
very true.
So with this, ma'am, thank you so much for coming on our show and talking
Pleasure.
to us. And it's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much, ma'am, for spending your time with us on a working day. And I'm sure our audiences, they have a lot to take ahead from this discussion. And I'm sure they'll now be more body positive. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes. To a world of more happy and secure women. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Stop the recording.